This is episode 31 of What's Been Better. This week, we're talking about responses, reflections, and revelations. As a life coach and therapist, Lori guides me and many others to the life we desire. But how does she continue to offer help to someone who isn't ready or willing to receive her help? To all those with the sensitive ears, we cuss for emphasis, not harm. Lori,
Sylvia,
how's it going?
life is good.
Yay, yay. I will agree to that. I will say ditto.
Awesome. So with that being said, what's better? What's been better?
What's been better? I was coming in, skidding in hot because we are finally tackling the water drainage issue in our backyard. Word to the wise. If you put in a drip system, put in a drainage system to go with it because that water has nowhere to go.
Oh
So,
boy.
so we were creating just a mud pile down the middle of our garden.
Oh wow.
So we had to dig out all the rocks, all the
Mhm.
mud, and made two very large trenches that connect into the drainage system that we already had. So I've been working on that and working hard, getting it done, and it's nearly done. So you saw
That is so
pictures.
cool. Yes.
So
That's
yeah.
that's I almost want to get a drone perspective of it. Like
Oh boy.
hover over so I can see the whole backyard. I would
Yeah,
love to see that whole scene.
I might have to do that. That would be, I wonder, can I do that? I have to figure something out. But yeah,
Yeah.
working
Yeah, I
on
would
that, getting it done.
yeah. An overhead view of that would be so nice. I
Yeah,
I,
because
I
it's not
love your
small.
dedication.
Thank you. Thank you. It's
Yeah.
it's not a small task. My garden is 12 feet by about 30 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So that section, one section is 20 feet and the other section was 10 feet
Mm-hmm.
um, of just putting in the drainage. So those were not small holes. Let's put it like that.
Oh, okay.
Small
Okay.
trenches. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, but yeah, that's what's better for me today, this week, all that good
Oh,
stuff.
oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
What about you? What's been better?
Well, I'm getting better at my videos.
Yay.
And so doing videos has definitely not been my forte or something I even wanted to do. I knew
Right.
at some point I would need to do them because that's just what life is requiring of me at this point in life.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about this on the podcast that there are people that I won't be able to um, see,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to reach out to a broader community. And our podcast is doing that. And also my videos are going to do that.
Yeah.
I used to, and this is for Instagram, but I used to put out, little sayings and things like that. And I guess they're tired of reading those daggone things. They want to
Everybody's
see,
attention span is so short.
right. And so you got to hit them with 40 seconds to almost a minute of,
Right.
they don't even want to listen to it. And that's been me too. So now you got to put the words up there too. I think that's hilarious. But I hope,
Algorithms, algorithms, algorithms.
right. But ultimately, my hope is in doing these videos that it's going to reach a broader audience to make a difference. That's my whole hope, is to make a difference in the lives of people. So yes, that's been better with me feeling more comfortable making videos. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And you are, even
yeah,
if it's 5 people, even if it's just your whole client list, however many people that is, you are making a difference.
yeah.
I
It's
hope you
just
know that. Don't let
yeah.
these algorithms get you down because they are tricky. They change every week. I
Yeah.
mean, one week it might be, yeah, you have to put the words on the video. The next week, nobody likes words.
Hmm.
One
Well,
week it might be a 2 second video. Next week it's 2 minutes. So
right. And you know what it is for me? I even with the likes and the viewers, I look at that, but at the same time, my thought process is the people who need it and the people who desire it will see it.
yeah.
And so I have to change my intention. And my intention is let the people who desire this information, it reach those people. And
Hmm.
then if it's 5, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
If it's two people who really need to hear this, I'm okay with it.
Hmm. Yeah. It's the same. It's the same for me. Um, it was a tricky thing to understand, but I had a really long conversation with Drew about, you know, all of this. At the end of the day, these apps are just a form of each of us seeking some kind of piece of something that fills us in some way, shape, or
Mm-hmm.
form. Because
Mm-hmm.
if we didn't
Mm-hmm.
care, there would be
Mm-hmm.
no cameras on our phones.
Mm-hmm.
There would be no like buttons. There would be no
Right.
share buttons. There would be nothing. We would be the only people that saw our posts.
Right.
Nobody would ever know that we were even seeing any of this or making any of this or talking about any of this.
Right.
So it is that little deep seated thing of like, oh, I wonder if this is going to reach anybody.
Right.
But
Yeah, and it's always the hope that it reaches. And I think it feeds into our ultimate purpose in life.
mm-hmm.
What is our purpose? And is it connection?
Yeah.
At the root of everything is a connection of some sort, because we're not, even though we are in this world by ourselves, living our own lives, there are other people who are doing the same thing
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
simultaneously.
Literally.
Right. And if
Yeah.
my life could be better by showing somebody else, like, why not?
Right. Right.
So I hope that what I do, the life that I live, can inspire somebody else to do the same.
Yeah. It will. It is. It is. I'm speaking from firsthand experience. It definitely it is. But yeah, so I I sent you a text the other day because I've been thinking about some things and having conversations and in certain situations about offering up help
Mm-hmm.
and what it's like to have the exact answer and someone needs the answer.
Mm-hmm.
They've probably asked you for the answer
Right.
and then they completely ignore, reject, go the opposite direction, knowing full well that it's not going to work. I wanted to pick your brain about how do you keep going?
Mm.
How
You
do you
said,
knowingly
uh-huh.
handle watching your clients, watching family, watching whoever do what you know is probably not best for them
Mm-hmm.
because they've already asked you, hey, what do you think is best?
Mm-hmm.
But how do you keep coming back? How do you keep coming back to helping?
Right. I think it starts with when they ask, I
Mm-hmm.
put it back on them,
Okay.
right? Because I shared with you at some point, I'm not an advice giver. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not telling you what to do, right?
Right.
I would tell them what I would do, but even when they ask those kind of things and they ask for, okay, what to do, blah blah blah, my thing back to them is, what do you think is best? Or,
Mm.
you know, how do you want to change the situation? Like, the question gets put back in on their side so they can think through it, because I'm not living their life. They're
Right.
living their lives. And so then whatever they decide to do is going to be, um, the consequence will be on them as well. They don't ever get
Oh,
back to come back to
okay.
tell me, well, you said this and that shit didn't work or whatever. No, that you ain't gonna tell me that. Because it's gonna be one thing that you can do differently. You want your life to change. You
Right.
have to want your life to change more than I want your life to change. Because if I want it more, then I'm creating a situation where this person is crippled and they're dependent on me, or there's this level, like you were talking about, this resistance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost like dragging a dog and instead of walking the dog.
Right.
No.
Yes.
Oh no. Because then it also becomes too much work for me and too much of a burden for me. Then I'm carrying all this weight. I'm not carrying anybody's
Yeah.
weight.
And I guess, like you said, you would be more invested than they are. Almost to say, like, they're asking you what they should do in a way to say, like, you do it for me.
Right. And I can't do your work. It's like a teacher asking, well, and student, how do you do this? Well, how do you do that? Well, how do you do this? And then the
Mm-hmm.
teacher comes back and says, Why don't you do X, Y, and Z? Like for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Read that and come back to me. Read over the directions and then come back to me.
Right.
Like think through it. Be critical thinking on your part. What do you think? What do you think? And so for me, I'm empowering you to say you're intelligent. You're the author of your life. You know, you're the producer over here. I'm not producing this. You are.
Hmm.
You got this shit. I believe in you.
Right. Right. You have to keep okay. So I guess like part of the answer is that you stand in a position of being a motivator instead of a problem solver in a way.
Right. A motivator, an encourager, a question asker. Right.
Okay.
Because I'll ask, what if? What if this? What difference would it make?
That's what I was going to say. Is that why you asked that? Is that why you asked what difference does that make for you?
Yes, because
or would it make for you?
Yes, because when you answer it, it's instantly you feel empowered. Like when you, because we're not thinking about the difference certain things makes. We don't go around.
No.
If I wash my arms, what difference would that make for me? You know, if I drink this glass of Kool-Aid, what difference would that? Like if I go and say, hi, how are you today? What difference would that make for me? We don't do that. We don't think through. But if I ask, then you're thinking, man, I did wash her car for her. It felt good.
Right.
It felt good. And I'm eliciting from you the feeling. And that's why when we started this whole podcast earlier, back in March, I don't know, February.
It was like February. Yeah.
We talked about.
It seems like 8 years ago.
I know, right? I talk about feelings a whole lot because feelings are a barometer. When you feel a certain way, you do a certain thing. You think a certain way. But if you don't think about the difference certain things make, you don't recognize how you feel. But if by chance you did think about how you feel, you will do more of it because you want to feel better. No one wants to, damn, I just want to feel angry all the time. Nobody wants that.
Right.
But what's funny is we do stuff to trigger us to be angry all the time or whatever that is. Like, we constantly do things to trip ourselves up. But if we do one little thing differently and we think about, oh, yeah, that did give me a different response, then you start doing it differently.
Is it also okay, wait, I have to ask two separate questions. So you said that we constantly are tripping ourselves up. Is that a conscious thing or is it a subconscious thing of
it's
like tripping ourselves?
It's a totally subconscious thing. Because again, you're not going to consciously literally trip over a thing when you see it in your face. But you will if there's this unconscious thing that you do and then you're at, oh, man, I keep tripping over that. And then you consciously say, I'm going to avoid that.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? But subconsciously, we do a lot of things that render us the same fucked up results.
I got you. Because you keep going back and banging your head on like dumb shit. That's like, this is okay. Yeah. I get what you're saying. Okay. And then like my second question is once you're in the situation, how do you navigate towards how do you navigate towards the thing that you were seeking out without subconsciously tripping yourself? Is that the whole piece about like you got to just make one different decision?
Yeah, because if you do too much, there's gonna be this resistance, because there's a tendency for us to like how life is. Like when I say, oh, this is fucked up, we kind of like being in that status quo. We might not ever say it, but it kind of gives us some type of security. Although we want better, we don't know. And so sometimes I might say you can't get from where you are, because say you really want to go, I'll say to Jamaica, but your money is short. So you can't really get past, it'll be like one day, because I can't in my mind reach Jamaica because I don't ever had this kind of money, you know. But if you do one little thing, like save $50 a month, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
like just one thing. And then the next thing, what difference would that make? You see what I'm saying? And
Right.
we look at the difference every little thing makes, and it gets more exciting. It gets more exciting. And then before you know it, your ass is in Jamaica and back. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I had the best time. And then you do it all over again.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
and that's how you turn a situation where somebody was homeless and now they're millionaires. You know, like when you think
Mm-hmm.
about um, Tyler Perry. Tyler
Mm-hmm.
Perry didn't think about being hanging out with Oprah at the
Right.
beginning. He knew she existed. I
Yeah.
remember when he was doing shit out of his car, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
early on these different plays and stuff.
Right.
In that moment, he wasn't like, oh man, because it was too far reaching. So he did one thing at a time, one thing at
Okay.
a time.
So now we come back to like I think it was Chris. Yeah, Chris was talking about the habit stacking of like
Mm-hmm.
you do one
Mm-hmm.
thing, okay, you add that to your list of
Mm-hmm.
habits and you add
Mm-hmm.
another one and yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And also taking time out to think about how you feel about it. That's why I talk about the difference it makes. It's just like saying, how do you feel about it? What
Yeah.
do I think about that? What how did it change my life? How did it impact my life? How did it impact the life of other people? Because it's not just our lives. When you think about how it impacted your grandmother or your mother, that's a
Mm-hmm.
good feeling too.
Yeah.
When you see your mom like overwhelmed with joy because you graduated. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the feeling that she got, that empowers you too.
Right.
So or when you do something for your child or you do something for a cousin or you know, and you know that before their life wasn't maybe doing so well, but now that this thing that you did impacted them in such a way that they have so much joy, that empowers you as well.
I don't think we all do enough thinking about our feelings. I
Mm-hmm.
know I don't or did well, I do a little bit more now. I know I didn't
Mm-hmm.
before, and we've talked about
Right.
this before about like I was running from my feelings. I don't want
Right.
to know my feelings
Mm-hmm.
because it's
Right.
like that's going to trigger emotions, and
Right.
just now we're going on and on and on and on to like a whole separate rabbit hole instead of the rabbit
Mm-hmm.
hole we're supposed to be in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe there's like this difficulty with that because not everybody can filter their emotions or their feelings. Not
Well, they can.
everybody is like conscious of like this is what it's like when I'm happy. This is what it's
Mm-hmm.
like when I'm sad. Because I think
Yeah.
there's a heart to that of like knowing how you are in these particular vibrations, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a practice. That's all
Yeah.
it is. It's just like we practice brushing our teeth every day. We
Mm-hmm.
practice taking showers. We practice waking up and getting out of bed. We do these things repetitiously and we don't recognize that it's a practice. You know,
Right.
and even like some couples, they get stuck in
Mm-hmm.
arguing. Like they argue every week. You know, you can
Yeah.
set your alarm to it. They argue. And it's like, that's a practice. But guess what? If they did one thing different to alter that, then that can become a practice too. And they can take note on how they feel. What is different about that engagement? And what did they notice that's taking place as they start to do that one thing differently? Then that turns that thing all the way around.
how how do you set an intention or get in the habit with your partner to get on the same page, I guess, also, because I think that's a lot of times like with people arguing. It's like they just aren't on the same page. They don't even know that we're in a book right now
Right.
or that we're in a movie that has a script. And it's like,
Right.
we're on
Right.
page 3. Why are you still at the preface?
Right.
Like,
I guess I'll use my situation, like
okay.
being Tommy. There are times when I get super aggravated with him
Mm-hmm.
on a drop. And I ask myself, he don't even know this, but I'll say to myself,
Yeah.
Lori, what you aggravated about? Just like that. And then I said, well, I can't stand when he does this, this, and this. And I said, it's because you don't do that. But what if you allow him to be himself? And what if you didn't judge how he did X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
What difference would that make? And I do that, I do that to myself. I don't just teach this shit. I don't just coach. I do it myself.
Right.
And I feel better because I want to feel better about my relationship. Because if I kept that way, there would be a distance there's this precipice that's between us that we won't grow. And guess what? We'll go apart from each other.
Right.
And so I find things that bring me to him. And and even if he doesn't know it, sometimes we chat about it, but for the most part, is finding things in common. More things that you have in common than things that bring you apart.
Right.
And if you don't have to argue about something, decide, choose, breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe and decide. I don't have to be aggravated with him. I have more fun when we are laughing together than being annoyed.
I find that with Drew and I, especially lately, like even having to dig this hole in the back and figuring out like, all right, how are we doing this? What's the goal?
Right.
And coming to a point where it's like, oh, we got away from the goal. And so each of us taking a deep breath and not being annoyed with each other of like, oh shit, we collectively didn't do what we said we were going to do in the first place. So we might have to change this or manipulate this or make an adjustment. I literally just saw that, and I appreciate that in that deep breath, because I think I've said this before about like there's something about taking a pause in a breath that makes your brain actually work.
It does.
And I don't think I've seen it. I don't think there's enough people doing that in their relationships.
Oh, I'm telling you, it makes a difference. Taking a breath.
Yeah.
Just breathe in and breathe out.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference. Yes, you are right.
Because your partner, your person is frustrating as hell to you. They are. Because they're not you. And I think we don't all realize is like, just because this is a way that they are doing it and is not the way that you would do it, doesn't necessarily make it wrong.
Thank you.
But you also have to have a fucking conversation with them to say like, hey, how'd you do that? Or why'd you do that? Or do you think that there's a different way to do that? Instead of just being like, oh, just give it here, I'll do it. Or
that, instead of doing that, don't take it. Because they don't learn. Even with our children, please let your children cook. Let them clean up. Don't take it away because they don't do it as fast as you do or the way you do it. They have a way, and the more they practice, they might navigate to doing it a lot of the ways you do it. But we are unique individuals. We all are individuals.
Yeah.
And there's an appreciation that we can have for ourselves and others. It's a powerful, powerful experience if we allow ourselves to have it.
And I think it's like we have to teach each other how to do the things that the other person doesn't know. Instead of just being like, I don't know. It's just a lot of frustration for no reason. Because people don't know. It's
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And then when you think about your partner or your children or whatever, remember that you're on the same team. And I love the analogy. I give this analogy a lot.
I posted that video the other day. Yes.
Oh, wow. Right. So if you're playing another team, if you're fighting your teammates, your ass is going to lose every single time.
Yes.
Be on the same team with your partner.
Yeah.
Win together. You can't win fighting each other.
No. I say this all the time. Like, I want Drew to win so fucking bad. Because I also subconsciously know that if that man wins, I'm going to win.
Of course. You're on that team.
So me fighting against that don't make any sense.
You're cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yes, me tripping him is tripping myself.
Right. You're laughable to the other team. Yes. They can win by just watching y'all fight each other. It's embarrassing too.
Yes.
And so that's a feeling.
Yeah.
Embarrassment. And so, man, would you not want the exhilaration, which is another feeling, over embarrassment? The exhilaration of knowing that you are in in tandem, y'all locked in,
Right.
y'all on the same mental note, y'all doing the daggone thing instead of being off.
Right.
Girl.
Because it don't make any sense to me to like take this architecture exam. I don't want to look at none of this. I don't want to study any of this. It, this shit is complex. This math is hard. Like all of it is just like I it's too much money. Like all these things, I'm like, this test is just it's just a bad rap. But I know the importance of it.
Yes.
I know how important it is to him, which makes it important to me.
Exactly. And I heard you say one time, you're excellent at standardized tests.
Yeah.
I heard you say that one time. I said, oh, shit. If she's excellent at standardized tests and she could offer those cues to him, he's going to be good or better at standardized tests and he can knock this shit out. And I thought that was so cool when you said that because that is a strategy that you can offer that helps you on the team. There's going to be something that one partner is good at and the other partner is not so good at, and then they can balance each other out because the other partner could be really good at something that the other, partner is not. And so we have to find those things that help each other. And I just love the fact that you're coming in to help him because when he wins, you win.
Yeah. Like even if I wasn't good at standardized testing, I would figure out a way. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
I just cannot fathom, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I cannot fathom this man struggling to do whatever, and me just being like, "Shit, I hope you figure it out." How the hell is that going to benefit me?
It's not. But again, that happens because well, it is wild. And I will say a lot of that happens because of how that person feels about themselves.
Oh.
Again, it's an individual thing.
Yeah.
So if you're not helping your partner, you got to ask yourself, what about you are you not doing to help yourself?
Right.
You do to others what you do to yourself. It always starts with you.
Yeah.
It always starts with you.
Yeah.
Because we live in this world by ourselves.
You've said that forever. You've said that since day one. You in your own movie. And you got stars that come in and out.
Yeah.
Be on the whole season, whatever.
And however you treat yourself is how that goes out. It's a whole wave that goes out, and that's pretty much how it is. And so even kind of getting back to that earlier question, helping these clients who sometimes don't want to hear it, that's fine. A lot of times they'll stop coming, right?
Okay.
Because they'll leave me before I leave them.
That makes sense. Because you're just here to help. And it's like either you want this help or you don't.
Right. And I will confront them too. I will say, hey, we mentioned this. What happened? So I'm not going to ask why, right? Because why puts a person on a witness stand and then they have to defend themselves. I'm not asking you to defend yourself because, again, there's resistance that comes up against a why. But if I say what happened, that is me being curious.
Right.
And a lot of times people want to explain. They want to, oh, this and that. Oh, okay, cool. I get it, And then here it goes. What if X, Y, and Z?
What difference would it make?
Yes.
Damn, Lord, I'm seeing your tricks now.
Right. It gives me an opportunity to have them consider a different way. And they don't have to stay beholden to the thing that trips them up every time.
Right.
I want you to win.
Yeah.
And I'm also saying you can want you to win too. I believe in you. And if I don't start out with letting my client know that I believe in them, then it encourages them not to believe in themselves too. There's a reason why they came to me in the first place. They needed help.
Yeah.
And sometimes they need help with overcoming their blockages. And blockages, all they are practice things that get you. It's like a dog chasing its tail. You keep doing the same thing over and over and get these results that you don't like.
I tell y'all what, let me tell you something. If you go to Lori as your therapist and you don't do any work on yourself, you're not doing this right. If Lori don't make your brain catch fire because you got to think hard, and I would just say that for anybody that's going to therapy, in any therapist.
Yeah.
These conversations they're little like fire starters.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the beginnings of you doing the actual work. And if you go to a therapist and they're just like giving you the answers the whole time and not challenging you and not
Right.
pushing you and not they're just like yes men,
Yeah.
then I feel like it's pointless in a way.
You're in the wrong place. You're
Yeah.
right. Mm-hmm.
Or if they are not even hearing you, because we talked about that too, of the people that I had seen before. It's like, yeah, if they're just like passive about it, or they're just like, just do whatever,
or dismissing you.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
But if you get in there and the person is like, what difference would it make? And you got to sit there and think about the answer, you're in the right place. You're in the right place.
Yeah, because I think if people start to critically think their situation through, and really consider what their best hopes are. And that's another thing that we don't talk about a lot. But I will ask, I don't do it as much anymore, but I'll ask, because what's been better is the second session conversation.
Right.
When I see them for the first time, I won't ask them what's been better, because one, they don't know me. They don't know what the fuck that even means. I will ask them what their best hopes are. Sometimes they get tripped up too. What do you mean? What do you want from this therapy? What desire do you have? What prompted you to be here?
Right.
And then they think, oh, I want this instead of that. They don't say instead of that, but obviously it is. Right. Yeah. And that's why when I share with you, nobody goes into a grocery store with a list of things they don't want. If we start learning to take the don't out of things and look at what you desire instead of what you don't desire, you can really be in the way of receiving that. And it shifts everything. It's like when you turn on the light, the darkness disappears. You don't say, I don't want darkness. You just want the fucking light on. So you turn it on and then the darkness disappears. Right. And that's the same thing about when you think about what it is you desire. When you think about what you desire, you don't even have to think about what you don't. It disappears. It doesn't even exist anymore.
Right. There's no space for it. There's no space for it.
Interesting that you said there's no space. No, that space is taken up by what you desire.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Because, yeah, I will say that. You get these responses and then, the title for the show, even, you have this reflection that comes of like, you have to sit in the thought of like, what would your life look like? What is the life that you want? What difference would it make? Yeah. And then, I get why you came up with the title, because then you have the revelation. It all makes sense now. It didn't make sense at first. I'm just telling you.
Well, and so I didn't even come up with the title. I will say that too. It is a part of my therapy, right? I'm a solution-focused therapist. And when I was in school, there were, you could be a narrative therapist. You could be, emotionally focused therapist. Like there are different types of platforms that people decide to use as they start their practices. I like solution focused therapy because you get to describe the kind of life you want. It's like manifesting.
That's all it is to me. Yeah.
Right. That's exactly what it is. And you manifest your life. You start to speak your life into existence. And I love that. And you speak in declaratives. This is what, and also you use all of your senses. This is what you smell. This is what you see. This is what you hear. All of these things, you can almost taste it. And when you speak from that space, and it's positive, I love positivity. Negativity cease to exist.
Right.
The don't cease to exist. And then guess what? The life that you hated before, it ceased to exist. Right. So that it just resonated with me more than some of the other therapies. And not to say the other ones don't work, they're good. But I want people to love their lives and really see a life that they can have. instead of settling for a life that they've been having. They're
Right.
just
Right.
existing. Like, no, you don't have to just exist. You can thrive. We
Yeah.
weren't even born to just survive. We're not Neanderthal. We're
Mm-hmm.
not out there in the woods just living. You
Right.
know, we're not animals like that. We're put here. What I think is they say just beneath a little beneath the angels.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, we can thrive
Right.
if you
Right.
choose to.
Say that part one more time because this is a whole damn choice.
It
A
is.
whole choice.
And some people hadn't even considered what would my life be like if I was thriving? Like they don't even think about that.
No.
Think about what you want. Think about what life would be like if it were different than the life you've been settling with.
Mm-hmm. Shit. It we have done this for 31 episodes and I have done so much work, but it is always interesting to me that each week I still find there's another piece of work that I still need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Like this,
Yeah.
I remember you told me in the very first episode, like this is unending.
Yeah,
This work
it
will
is.
always be here.
It
But I
will.
didn't necessarily know it until we like really got going and really got going that like every week there is something that I'm like, okay, I gotta keep adding pieces to building the better life that I want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like it, yeah.
And I would love to hear from the listeners. Like, let me know what life is like, because I know that at least one of you all are doing these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Share with us how life is better for you.
Yeah.
Tell us what difference it's been making for you to do some different things. I would love to know how life was before and what it's like now, because that's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's so many things. Like I could do scales, like on a scale of one, from I'll go from 10 to 1. But if 10 is the best life and 0 is the opposite, where are you? Where
Mm-hmm.
are you in your best life? And if you're a 4 or 3, how can you get to a 4? How
Right.
can you get to a 4.5? How can you get closer to your dream? You know,
Right.
think about these different steps. And those, Sylvia, are little steps. It's not a
Yeah.
lot. I'm not saying how do you jump to a 7? How you get
Right.
to a 9?
Right.
Nobody's, because you can't. You cannot. You
Yeah.
can't skip steps.
No.
You will trip and fall
No.
back down.
Yes. Yes. You
So,
cannot. But yeah, it's an unending thing, but it is possible. It is possible to get to a point where you are living a life that you had no idea that you necessarily desired.
mm-hmm,
Because that was also part of the work was like figuring out what I actually desired. What did it
mm-hmm,
look like to have peace?
right.
What did it look like to be happy? What did
Mm-hmm,
it look like to have joy? What
right.
and this I guess this is why I'm able to say this is how I actually feel and this is what I desire. This is
Exactly.
it just um yeah, there's nothing else to go. See, I'm tripping on my words. That's how I know it's time to go.
Well, let me just say this one real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Your backyard, right?
Yeah.
Like 7 months ago, you probably wouldn't even have imagined that you would have built this trench.
No.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Hell
just
no.
right, just like that. And the fact that Drew is out there doing the damn thing with you. Like,
Yes.
come on.
That
Those are
part.
the things that I'm speaking about.
Yeah.
Okay, and real quick, what difference does it make?
It hold on, y'all. Let me tell y'all something. It is, I'm not about to get out here and start crying. It is a huge difference to know that you have the tools that you have been saying that you thought you had, to
Mm-hmm.
actually see the realization of being a Black girl with tools
Mm-hmm.
is so significant and so powerful
Mm-hmm.
to be able to claim something that was a pipe dream.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
is, it is, it is so magnificent
Mm-hmm.
to jokingly say for years you have the best husband ever and to
Mm-hmm.
manifest it into existence
Mm-hmm.
and to see like the fruits, there's
Yeah.
my pun for the day, of all the labor.
Come on. That's all I'm saying, girl.
Yeah. is powerful. And I wish it on everybody who can hear my voice.
Yes.
I wish all of these gifts, these blessings, the person for you, the person that you want to be, I wish it on everybody.
Yeah. And power is a feeling.
Yes.
I just want you to know that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening.
That's it for this week's show. I'm Lori Scott.
And I'm Sylvia Johnson. And you've been listening to What's Been Better.
A big thank you to Lagon Music Inc. for providing our music. This show is edited and produced by us with a little help from our family and friends. We love you all.
We want to hear what's been better for you. To be a guest on the show, send us an email to questions@whatsbeenbetter.com. Or you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at What's Been Better Podcast.
Thanks for listening.